Welcome to week 2 video for Number Talks for our 4th grade students. This week's focus is on number lines. We specifically are going to be focusing on integers and also fractions on a number line. So for the students' sake, they saw this actually as a string hanging across the room. They had a starting number, an ending number, and then they had to place the numbers not only in consecutive order but also proportionally to the other numbers on the string. And the reason being is by putting on the string, they're able to justify their answers with their peers. Here, obviously, we've taken that idea and we've put it to paper. So as you're doing this, if you feel that made more sense to you, please do that at home. Create a number line with a string and put up the beginning number and the ending number, and then allow yourself to place these numbers and think it through. The idea is to support your learning environment with what works best for you to understand. So one of the things I like to do when I look at a number line is take the starting number and ending number and say to myself, okay, if I broke this up into equal parts, what would the middle be? Well, I know the difference, where if I started at my dead of 1 and I went to 3, I know that's a difference of 4 units. They're 4 units apart. So I know the middle of that, so it's 2 units away from 3, or 2 units away from the dead of 1, which puts me at 1, which is the first number we had to find. Then I'm asked to find 1/2. What I like to do, though, is go ahead and break this up and say, well, wait a second. What's halfway between 1 and -1? 0. What's halfway between 1 and 3? 2. And then I can go back and find the numbers they're asking for. So if I think about 1/2, well, what's halfway between 0 and 1? 1/2. If I think about 1/4, well, is 1/4 not half of 1/2? So if I took half of that, wouldn't that be 1/4? We already found the 1, that's our middle number. Then we say, well, wait a second. Where's 1 and 1/2? Well, if this is 1 and this is 2, what's halfway in between? Would that not be 1 and 1/2? And then we have to find 2 and 1/4. For me, when I think about 2 and 1/4, I like to say, well, let's learn the information from before. Halfway between 2 and 3 is 1/2. Halfway between that would be 2 and 1/4. So that's really our first number line when we're looking at fractions. The next number line is just having us look at the relationship of integers. Again, we have a dead of 4, or -4, and 16. If I think about the distance from a dead of 4 to 16, that's a total distance of 20 units. So my midpoint would be 10 units away from 16 and 10 units away from a dead of 6, which puts me at 6. Oh, wait a second, that was our first number we had to find. Then, from there, I like to actually break it up again and say, well, what's the halfway point? So what's halfway between 6 and 16? Well, if 6 and 16 has a distance of 10, half of that is 5. So then, 11. So 11 would be here. Again, difference between a dead of 4 and 6 is 10. So that's a difference of 5. 6 and 1 are 5 units apart. The dead of 4 and 1 are 5 units apart. Because then I can go back and kind of fill in my other numbers and realize that, well, if I want to find where 0 is, well, if I went from -4, so I'd have -3, -2, -1, 0. So that'd be my 0 value. If I had 1, I could say 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, I could say 7, 8, 9, 10. If I say 11, I could say 12, 13, 14, 15, and there's my 16. We know we're looking for the 14, which falls there. We're also looking for the 10 that falls there. So when we look back and we say, okay, well, did we find all of our numbers? Oh, wait a second, we didn't find 8. If we come back to find 8, 8 would find there. So we know where 6 falls, where 8 falls, where 0 falls, where 10 falls, and where 14 falls on this number line. You know, that's just one way you can do it. I find it just becomes more exact when I go to the actual individual lines representing each unit bar in the number line with this situation. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of guidance as you were working on this week's activities.